£142,000. That's the total cost of a sprawling 5-bedroom historic mansion with a private garden. Not a foreclosure, not a scam. A real, structurally perfect home in a jaw-dropping UK town. Meanwhile, you're trapped paying £2,000 a month for a moldy, windowless studio basement flat in Zone 3 London, and nobody is talking about the alternative. But here's what the real estate industry is hiding. If you don't pick the exact right pocket, you'll trade your city stress for a coastal retreat where every shop closes completely the second winter hits, or a radical valley community where residents legally harvest free food grown on public streets. Most people will completely miss this window, staying trapped in a financial house arrest while a tiny group of remote workers quietly buys their freedom cash in hand. Choosing wrong will cost you a decade of life savings, but finding these 10 hidden pockets changes everything. Subscribe before this information spreads and the urban equity wave ruins these market forever. Let's break it down. Number 1. Alnwick. In Alnwick, you can buy a house for £245,000 and still have enough left over for your own private set of medieval knight armor. Located deep in Northumberland, practically neighbors with Scotland, this town has a stable population of 8,500. On the surface, it's all cobblestones, majestic castle walls, and the kind of historic charm that makes you feel like an extra in a period drama. Let's break it down. Your housing budget goes 12% further than the national average, and average rent hovers around £750. Crime? Virtually non-existent. The local police probably spend most days rescuing cats from trees. The job market is tight, but here's the kicker. It's home to Europe's largest second-hand bookshop inside a gorgeous old railway station. But here's what nobody tells you. In the winter, the North Sea wind will literally freeze your eyelashes off. Tourism completely swallows a town centre in July, and traffic bottlenecks on the A1 road are legendary. As one Redditor put it, I moved from London and my house has 3 fireplaces, but good luck finding a decent avocado toast past 3 p.m. You'll save thousands on space, but you might spend your evening staring at a dark horizon wondering where the city noise went. Okay, can we talk about the weather for a sec? The coastal wind doesn't just blow here, it assaults your dignity. I swear, a simple walk to the shop requires tactical gear and 3 layers of Gore-Tex just to survive. Picture this. It's 8 a.m. on a crisp, misty morning. You step outside, smelling fresh wood smoke and salty sea air, looking at a stunning medieval castle. Then a relentless blast of Arctic wind hits your face so hard you instantly forget your own name. Welcome to Alnwick. And if you think Alnwick's castle vibe is wild, the next place on our list takes us to a dramatic coastline where surfers literally dodge historic Victorian cliff lifts. Number 2. Saltburn by the Sea. Saltburn is a kind of town where hipster surfers and historic Victorian cliff lifts exist on the same block. Tucked away on the North Yorkshire coast, the seaside enclave has a booming population of 6,000 tech nomads and creatives. On the surface, it's a stunning blend of sweeping marine views, independent cafes, and dramatic ironstone cliffs that make your Instagram feed look like a professional travel brochure. Let's break it down. The median home price is an absurd £185,000, which is less than a parking space in central London. Rent averages around £680, and the cost of living sits 18% below the national average. Crime is low along the beachfront, though things get a bit more colourful on the post-industrial outskirts. Here's the kicker. It features the oldest remaining water-balanced cliff funicular in the UK. But here's what nobody tells you. Finding a parking spot on a sunny weekend is a logistical nightmare that will test your will to live. Local tension is real between the organic coffee crowd and old-school locals, and the seagulls here are absolute units capable of mugging you for your chips. As one Redditor put it, the sea views are incredible until you realize the salty air completely rotted your car's undercarriage in 2 seasons. Okay, can we talk about the parking situation for a sec? If you arrive after 10 a.m. in the summer, you aren't parking. You're playing a high-stakes, multi-hour game of musical chairs against 3,000 tourists. I swear, people will sell their firstborn for a spot within a mile of the sand. Imagine this. It's a gorgeous summer evening, the sun setting pink over the water as the waves crash rhythmically. You breathe in the sweet smell of fresh donuts, feeling completely at peace. Then a monster seagull swoops down, screeches like a banshee, and steals the ice cream right out of your hand. Welcome to Saltburn. Number 3. Carmarthen. In Carmarthen, you can buy an entire small farmstead for £198,000 and still have enough left over for your own private flock of Welsh sheep. Nestled deep in the lush valleys of southwest Wales, this regional hub has a growing population of 15,000. On the surface, it's all ancient stone bridges, rolling green hills, and a legendary history that claims the town is a literal birthplace of Merlin the Wizard. Let's break it down. Your wallet instantly goes into relaxation mode here with a cost of living that is a massive 22% below the national average. Rent hovers around £650 a month, and crime is practically non-existent. The local job market is mostly administrative, but here's the kicker. Your housing budget gets you historic, detached character properties that would cost millions anywhere near the M25. But here's what nobody tells you. If you don't at least try to learn basic Welsh, you will remain a permanent outsider. Public transport to major hubs is slow enough to make you want to cry, and it rains a lot. Not normal rain. Horizontal, soul-crushing rain for 200 days a year. As one local posted, bought a beautiful 4-bedroom stone cottage with an acre of land. I love it, but the sheep outnumber my neighbors 50-1. And don't even get me started on the weather. This isn't your standard British drizzle. It's a persistent, aggressive deluge that seems to defy gravity and target your socks. I swear, the local weather forecast is just a guy shrugging and pointing at a gray cloud. Picture this. It's a peaceful Sunday morning. You're looking out over a stunning, mist-covered valley while the river salmon splash below. You inhale the crisp, earthy scent of wet grass, feeling totally at one with nature. Then the wind shifts, and horizontal rain immediately hits your eyeballs at 40 miles per hour. Welcome to Carmarthen. Like this if you've looked at house prices lately and realized the standard math is completely broken. Subscribe to the channel. We actively hunt down the structural property loopholes the mainstream media ignores. Number 4. Dumfries. Dumfries has grand sandstone architecture and a house market that feels completely illegal. Located in southwest Scotland, this historic market town has a declining youth population of about 31,000. On the surface, it's a romantic, winding river town where Robert Burns wrote his finest poetry, characterized by striking red stone buildings and a slower, nostalgic pace of life. Let's break it down. The median home price is an unbelievable £165,000, which is practically a pocket change deposit back in the city. Rent averages a tiny £600, and the cost of living sits 25% below the national average. While the historic quarters are affluent and quiet, the local economy is isolated. Here's the kicker. It's home to the world's oldest working camera obscura, built inside an old windmill tower. But here's what nobody tells you. The high street is struggling heavily with vacant storefronts, giving parts of the center an empty, bittersweet feel. The local nightlife is non-existent, and the midges in summer are tiny biting monsters that will drive you completely insane. As one Redditor brutally put it, I own a house with literal turrets now. My city friends think I'm a lord, but my social life consists of watching the river flow. Let's talk about the stores for a sec. The high street looks like a retail ghost town. If you need high-end shopping or trendy boutique gear, your options are basically an empty shop next to a charity store. I swear, the most exciting storefront opening this year was a discount bakery. Imagine this. It's midnight on a crisp autumn evening. You're walking past stunning, glowing sandstone facades, smelling the faint scent of peat smoke in the air. The absolute silence of the historic quarter feels incredibly peaceful. Then you realize that silence is because literally every single establishment in a 5-mile radius closes at 5 p.m. Welcome to Dumfries. Number 5. Todmorden. You can pick your dinner off the street for free in Todmorden. Yes, really? No, it's not a scam. Tucked deep into a dramatic valley on the border of West Yorkshire and Lancashire, this market town of 15,000 is seeing a massive influx of artists and musicians. On the surface, it's a fiercely independent paradise where towering stone mills meet the radical, incredible edible project, which turned public flower beds into open-source vegetable patches. Let's break it down. The median home price sits at a very comfortable £195,000, and rent averages around £720. Your dollar, well, your pound, goes remarkably far with a cost of living 15% below the national average. Crime is low thanks to an intensely tight-knit community spirit. Here's the kicker. Anyone can legally harvest the fruit and herbs growing right next to the local bus station. But here's what nobody tells you. The valley walls are so steep that some houses receive absolutely zero direct sunlight for 3 solid months in the winter. The flood risk is a terrifying reality that makes insurance a total nightmare, and the roads are narrow, winding bottlenecks. As one Redditor put it, the community vibe is completely unmatched, but I forgot what it feels like to see a horizon that isn't a sheer cliff face. Okay, can we talk about the roads for a sec? Driving through the valley during rush hour is like navigating an ancient obstacle course. The lanes are so narrow you'll regularly find yourself playing chicken with a double-decker bus while your side mirror brushes a stone wall. I swear, you need the nerve of a fighter pilot just to get to the grocery store. Picture this. It's 1 p.m. on a Saturday. You're walking past vibrant market stalls, smelling fresh artisanal bread and damp earth. You pluck a couple of fresh raspberries from a public planter, feeling like you've unlocked a secret utopian video game. Then you look up at the towering valley wall and realize the sun is already completely blocked out for the day. Welcome to Todmorden. Number 6, Chroma. If Todmorden made you forget what the horizon looks like, this next one will give it back to you in spades. Perched on the windswept cliffs of the North Norfolk coast, Chroma is a traditional Victorian seaside resort that is quietly turning into one of the most viable coastal escapes in the south of England. While neighbouring hotspots like Southwold have become completely unaffordable playground for London multimillionaires, Chroma has stubbornly kept its working-class soul, its legendary crab fishing fleet, and remarkably, its sensible property market. Let's talk numbers. The average home here sells for around £280,000, which is practically a miracle for a gorgeous cliff-top town in this part of the country. Rent stays relatively grounded too, sitting at around £900 a month. It's a literal breath of fresh air, and the community vibe is entirely centered around the water. You've got an active, iconic 1900s pier, a sweeping sandy beach, and a high street packed with independent shops that haven't been pushed out by big corporate chains. But it isn't all sunshine and seafood. The winter months here are brutally quiet. When the summer tourists pack up and leave in October, a freezing, biting wind rolls off the North Sea, and the town essentially goes into hibernation for 5 months. Finding a stable, year-round job that doesn't involve hospitality or catching shellfish is incredibly tough. Plus, there's a literal structural countdown happening. Coastal erosion is a massive, looming threat, with the cliffs slowly but surely losing ground to the sea every single year. And don't get me started on the summer traffic. Trying to park anywhere near the seafront in July is a psychological experiment in pure frustration. The narrow Victorian streets get entirely gridlocked with camper vans, and you'll spend 40 minutes circling the same block just to buy a single bag of chips. Number 7, Blaenau Gwent. This region has housing prices so low that your city flat deposit can literally buy a whole terrace row outright. Yes, really. Located deep within the historic South Wales valleys, right on the rugged southern border of the Brecon Beacons, this post-industrial hub has a stabilizing population of 69,000. On the surface, it's a striking juxtaposition of wild, dramatic mountain ridges and old coal mining towns trying to find their footing in the modern world. Let's break it down. The median home price here is a jaw-dropping £142,000. That's not a typo. That's less than a luxury SUV back in London. Rent averages an unbelievable £580, and the cost of living sits a massive 30% below the national average. Crime rates are elevated in the central town hubs with petty theft, but the mountains right outside your back door are completely free, pristine, and wild. But here's what nobody tells you. The economic scars of the closed mines run deep, meaning the local high streets look pretty rough with betting shops and takeaways. The weather is notoriously gray, and local public services are under massive, documented strain. As one Redditor brutally put it, I bought my house for cash with no mortgage. The mountain views are stunning, but the local economy is heartbreaking to look at every day. Okay, can we talk about the food options for a sec? If you're expecting artisanal bakeries or organic sushi, prepare to be profoundly disappointed. Your culinary landscape here consists almost entirely of deep-fried pub fare and local chip shops that think a vegetable as a pickled onion. I swear, the local green option is just a slightly different shade of curry sauce. Imagine this. It's 6 p.m. on a damp autumn evening. You're walking along a misty mountain path, looking down at a beautiful valley while the smell of fresh wood smoke drifts from the cottages below. You feel an incredible sense of financial freedom, knowing you owe the bank exactly £0. Then you walk into the town center and realize the only thing open is a neon-lit kebab shop. Welcome to Blaenau Gwent. Number 8, Berwick-upon-Tweed. A town so strategically contested it changed hands between England and Scotland 13 times. Today, this breathtaking, fully walled coastal borough of 13,300 sits peacefully on the northernmost tip of Northumberland. On the surface, it's an architectural masterpiece where massive Elizabethan stone ramparts encircle historic core of Georgian townhouses, overlooking pristine sandy beaches and a river estuary famous for its massive colony of mute swans. Let's look at the damage, or lack thereof. The median home price is an absolute steal at £207,000, and standard monthly rent averages around £680. It offers an incredible quality of life for a literal fraction of the cost of living further south, and the crime rate is exceptionally low. Best of all, it's directly on the East Coast Main Line, meaning you can jump on a train and hit Edinburgh in 40 minutes or Newcastle in 4 to 5. But here's the catch. The town's demographics are heavily out of balance. It's got an aging population, and the local nightlife basically consists of a few traditional pubs closing early. Job opportunities outside of tourism or local retail are rare, meaning young professionals usually flee. Plus, the wind whipping off the North Sea is completely unyielding. It's a kind of damp, biting chill that seeps straight into your bones. And let's talk about the local accent for a second. Because of its identity crisis history, the locals speak a unique blend of Geordie and Scottish borders dialect known as Berwick twang. It is so localized that if you travel just 10 minutes north or south, even the neighboring towns struggle to understand what you're saying. Number 9, Buxton. If Berwick felt like a historical drama, this next one is like stepping directly into a miniature, budget-friendly version of Bath. Tucked away at a staggering 1,000 feet above sea level, surrounded by the wild landscapes of the Peak District, this stunning spa town of 22,000 is the highest market town in England. On the surface, it's a jaw-dropping landscape of grand Georgian crescents, ornamental Victorian thermal baths, and opera houses that look like they belong in a royal capital. Let's look at the financial health check. The median home price here rests at £255,000, and standard monthly rent averages around £895. For a place literally dripping in architectural prestige and surrounded by a national park, those numbers are an absolute steal. The lifestyle is incredibly active, the crime rate is minimal, and you're just an hour's direct train ride from the economic engine of central Manchester. But here's the bitter pill. Because it sits so high up in the peaks, Buxton gets absolutely hammered by the elements. The winter weather is legendarily brutal. When a heavy frost or snow hits, the steep, plunging roads connecting the town to the outside world regularly shut down completely, leaving you entirely cut off. It also ranks as one of the wettest towns in the country, meaning you will become very closely acquainted with relentless, sideways-driven mountain rain. And let's talk about the local damp situation for a second. Living in a gorgeous, historic stone building sounds incredibly romantic until you realize those 200-year-old stone walls breathe like a sponge. If you don't keep a commercial-grade dehumidifier running 24/7, your luxury flat will quickly start smelling like a forgotten medieval dungeon.